Good segue to my next question. So we'll talk about three laws, okay, which are in discussions quite a lot today because of various events. So let's take the first one, HR&CE, that you already alluded to. So can you take us through what is the origin of this act? What was the reason this was put in place? All right, it has got a long history, I understand that. But how did it all start, and where are we today with this whole thing legally?
See, the HR&CE Act has a checkered history. And somewhere down the line, the government decided, government means mostly state government, but probably including the central government at some point in time, that the temples should not be allowed to be managed by various the general public. And the government has to interfere. The HR&CE Act was brought in. There are several sections which have been challenged, and there have been several, it has a checkered history. But there has been certain sections which have been outlawed by various judgments of various courts. But again, they have been legislated back. See, politicians love to control temple, whether it is of the left or the right. They love to control temple because that gives them huge pelf and power. So it is like places of powers, institutions, a Vadapani temple or a Kapalishwara temple or a Parsarji temple, beyond the revenue part of it, has huge influence on the society even today. So to control that, allow people to get passes, post your own people there, conduct festivals, you be there in the festivals at the right time, at the right place. So all these gives you high decibel and high visibility. And this is, politicians love this. And they see this as some sort of a benchmark or shall I say some leveraging point to further their political prospect. So temples, I may not believe in the God inside, but I love the temple because there is a money inside. There is power inside, there is prestige inside, there is pelf inside, there is perks inside. So many temples. In fact, you should interview somebody like Ramesh, T.R. Ramesh. Now, he has got a catena of issues that the temples face. And he has been a lone crusader for the last 12 years. I have been a Johnny come lately. But the fact of the matter is somebody like Ramesh have been battling this for the last 12 years single-handedly, and they have pointed out something very dramatic and drastic in the way the function of temples have been functioning. For instance, there have been purchase of cars by the temples. For example, temple pays 4% for an audit, which is non-existent. And I think there are something like 1.6 million audit queries which are not yet settled. Audit is done by the lackeys of the HR&CE department. So it is like commissioner asking his own lackey inside the department to audit him. And who will audit the commissioner? And despite it, there are 1.6 million audit objections. So you can see the type of issues that are exploding before us in the temple management. And somewhere down the line, the government is reluctant. And when I say government, I don't only mean the DMK government, the previous ADMK government, and then the previous DMK government, then the previous ADMK government. It goes probably up to the Congress government. And to be very fair, even the BJP in Tamil Nadu has not made a strong pitch stating that when it comes to temple management, it will free temple management of government control. Because if somebody is going to propose this in Tamil Nadu, please understand, Tamil Nadu is a land of temples. Now, unfortunately, temples have not become a big issue in, this issue has not become big in political circles. So the day it becomes political, and if BJP takes it up, it may have to take up a position that I will free the temples. And if it is asked a counter question, what happens in Karnataka, where it is in power and it has done precious little, then people will find it difficult to answer. So probably BJP can make a pitch stating that we are coming out with an alternative temple management system, probably by demonstrating that it means business in Karnataka. It is willing to walk the talk in Karnataka. And if it does that, I think it will put BJP on a good stead in Tamil Nadu. And temple management is not limited to only Brahmins. So it's again seen as a Brahmin issue or a caste issue, upper caste issue. Temples, by and large, the priests are Brahmins, but the managements of the temples have been by and large with the community spread over different castes and community. In fact, even including scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, they have their own temples, and they have managed it for so many years. And some of these temples, unfortunately, have been taken over by HR&CE, somewhere around 35 to 40,000 temples. I may be wrong about the number by a few thousands, but it ranges anywhere between 35 to 40,000. Now, if these 35,000 temples are freed and Hindu society is allowed to manage the money that flows into the temple, then you will see a flourishing of Hindu education happening, Hindu health system spawning. See, basically all this money is given for two things: education, health. Now, unfortunately, or probably the third dimension would be preservation of culture and civilization, arts and science. But leave that apart, even the esoteric issues, leave it aside. Rough estimate put in that the temple management could earn somewhere around 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh crores every year in Tamil Nadu temples alone, given the extent of land that they have, the type of land that has been usurped, the rentals that are being paid. Can you believe some of these temple lands per acre is 1,000 rupees or a few hundred rupees rent? So if these are all cleansed or these are all redone and brought back to its own glory in a manner that we will all appreciate current market values, I think the Hindu ecosystem will start thriving without either depending on the Christian convent for education or any of this private medical for health purposes. So you will have your own ecosystem that will start flourishing. So, the apex predator, when it starts vanishing, it will create an imbalance. Apex predator are very important for the forest ecosystem to flourish. So likewise, temples, if you put it in the right hands, the money circulation happens within the system very appropriately. And that will spawn our own education, our own arts, our own culture, our own music. See, in temple, today, we don't have people who will actually play the Nadaswaram. It is a very sad reflection. The Nadaswaram is one instrument that is germane to the Tamil society. And can you believe, even in Mahakovils, like say Madurai Meenakshi Amman or Tanjavur Brihadishwara Alaya, you find that the Nadaswaram players are vanishing. Now, unless we quickly put in a system that in the next 10 years, Nadaswaram revival as something that is to be brought in, I believe in the next 10 years, Nadaswaram will be seen only in Tilala Mohorambal cinema, and it will never be seen in somebody who is going to play it live in any temple. So these are the things. Now let us take Odwars. How many temples have Odwars? Why is it that the temples are not encouraging? So what has happened? The HR&CE has kept the temple functioning to a very minimal requirement. It is only allowing the bhaktas to come in, have a darshan of the Lord, and the Hindus are so happy about it that they went and had a darshan of the Lord, and they quickly came about because they know that there is no toilet, there is no parking space, there is a mental pressure on you to go to a temple. So you want to quickly go and come back so that you feel claustrophobic inside a temple. So you rush out. So you don't enjoy the temple. You don't sit it all our temples are places of energy.
Yeah.
All these are vital energy things. So we Hindus have lost this ability of sitting in a temple. So we need to go back. And one of our temple movement is per week, everybody must spend 1 hour in a temple. Sit down. Not go to your Garbhagriha and have your prayer with the Lord is separate. Sit down in one corner, chat with your friends, discuss something, even if it is a politics or cricket match or something else. Of course, you cannot be abusive. You shouldn't be abusive in a temple. But you can sit down and chat. And I make it a point to go to the temples on that. So HR&CE, to answer your question, is not merely an enactment of control. It is basically backdoor entry of the state intervention into your private life. Okay, because temples are not separate places of worship. Temples are integrated to my family. It's an extension of my puja room. And when I feel that somebody is sitting in my puja room, I will feel offended. Likewise, if somebody who is not even adhering to the basic Hindu dharma is sitting and controlling the temple and administrating, there are judgments. Ramesh tells me, the coconut till it is broken, it is supposed to be sacred. The moment it is broken, it is supposed to be secular. Okay, so these type of stupid laws that we have created, of course, horrendous judgments that have come in. It's time all of us need to unite and say goodbye to the HR&CE Act. Of course, what next? My answer to this is British used to ask, if we go, what happens? There will be a huge crisis, there will be huge calamity. But looking back, 75 years, we have managed our affairs brilliantly. And I think that is the answer to it. If we can manage ourselves at the national level, we can manage ourselves at every temple level. And we need to identify 5 people who were the original family trustees. There are family trustees who were holding it from where the HR&CE took it. So these are all borne by records. So you go back, try to find out who were the family, trace them. If they are interested, give it. Instead of having 5 trustees, have 11 trustees for every big temple. Have some professionals, have some good lawyers, chartered accountants, doctors, engineers, big industrialists, media personalities, cine personalities who have first faith in the Hindu traditions to are men or women of integrity. If these 2 basic criteria are satisfied, I think I see no reason why we shouldn't get rid of HR&CE in the next, say, 24 months.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, sir. When it comes to some clauses there, it is given that the government or the say executive officer should intervene to resolve an issue, and then they should just give it to somebody else to run it. Okay, running is not a part of their role. Okay,
exactly.
I think it's written in the Act itself.
Yeah, I will explain to you.
Yeah,
see, the original scheme of the Act was to appoint trustees. And trustees are not appointed for over 10, 12, 15,000 temples. So instead of the trustees, they have created EVO, and through the EVO, the government is managing these temples. And it is this EVO and who is nothing but a government nominee, and by virtue of which the government enters the temple, and the secular sacred distinction, so very important and considered to be a basic structure of the constitution, is held in breach in this case. So my submission and a humble submission would be that, look, we are first entering into a space where we should not enter, meaning the state should not enter. That's a constitutional issue. That the second thing is, you are doing this so blatantly that you don't appoint trustees. You mean to say 5 honorable men or women are not available for 30,000 into 5, 150,000 honorable men and women are not available in the state of Tamil Nadu, which has a population of around 7 crores. It is a shame. It is an absolute shame. So the government says my citizens are all scoundrels, indirectly, though it doesn't say it explicitly, it indirectly says, and I will rather believe a government employee to be the executive officer. And again, people like Ramesh and Rangarajanji have all done enormous work on this issue. They repeatedly tell us some of these executive officers' appointment itself is bogus. They've not been appointed. Somebody comes and sits and says, I'm the executive officer. So what you are entering into a theater of the absurd. And somewhere down the line, these anomalies are eating into the vitals of temple management, and we need to address this pronto.
Understood. And if at all some solution has to come about, does it have to be done by state, or can the central government come up with some kind of a decision pan-India around this?
See, it all depends. There is a possibility of a pan-India law. Okay. I wish Narendra Modi ji comes at 8 p.m. some of these days. and says that all this HR&CE Act of the state governments are abrogated, and the center appoints an apex body, and that will manage all dhams, temples, mutts as trustees, and where there will be a clear-cut case where they will not go beyond a particular point, meaning they will manage the secular affairs, and the trustees will ensure that the existing manner of pujas or whatever it is continuing in this temple. And there is a distinct possibility, because we have looked into part 1, part 2, and part 3 of Schedule 7, and we see that there is enough space in part 1 of Schedule 7 to the Constitution, which gives the center, the union government, the right to interfere into the temple affairs, overriding. Our Constitution is a very funny Constitution. There is enough space for the federal structure. There is enough space for the union government. And laws are made in such a way that the union and the state function in tandem. However, the central government can override the state government. And whenever there is a clash between unitary side of the Constitution and the federal side of the Constitution, the unitary will prevail over the federal. And that is explicit in the manner in which Schedule 7 is written. And Schedule 7 Part 1 gives complete right for the center to interfere on temple management. So answer your question, it is a capital YES.
Okay. So, looks like there was a case that went on around Shri Chidambaram temple, and it's not under HR&CE, right, now. So, what is the difference between Chidambaram temple and, say, another temple? Okay, what is the difference then? See, Meenakshi Amman temple, for example, what is the difference?
See, this, first let me tell you about the Chidambaram temple. It's called the Sabhanayakar temple. So, why Sabhanayakar? The Manunidhi Chodan wanted to ensure that his son, who will be his successor, to be absolutely trained in all 64 branches of knowledge. But the chap who was an 8-year-old boy was put into drill, and Agastya Maharishi was asked to teach him. And the boy collapsed within 2-3 months. He said, I don't want to be the king if you train me so hard. So then they decided what is to be done, and then they decided no man can possess all knowledge. So there are 64 branches of knowledge. So 64 people can be appointed as advisors to the king. And that is how the temple is called Sabhanayakar. So he will be a Sabhanayakar surrounded by 64 men of great or experts or virtues. Now, this temple is managed hereditarily by Podu Dikshitars, who number around 430 to 440. Now, this is a private temple in the sense that this temple was managed hereditarily by these people, and these Podu Dikshitars are supposed to be a separate denomination. And that is why they get this protection that HR&CE does not enter. For example, it doesn't enter, the HR&CE doesn't enter mutts. Kanchi Mutt cannot be taken over by the HR&CE. So the public space where it is everybody's temple is where HR&CE comes in. And that is how they have taken over, say, Madurai or some other temple. And I am told there is another distinction, is that the distinction of temples which are archaeological, like what it is in, say, Brihadishwara in Tanjore. So those will be separate. But beyond that, there is major classes, this temple which are controlled by your HR&CE, and private temples are by and large left out because they are of denominations. And what is a denomination is still, in my view, indeterminate. Now you may say, unless, should I say Vaishnavism is different from Shaivism? Yes, that will be, and in our Archaka's matter, I did put across to the Lordship. Of course, I was tutored by somebody. Then there are 28 agamas, 2 for the Vaishnava Sampradaya, which again is broken into several agamas. but predominantly 2, and 26 for the Saiva Siddhanta. And this, which temple manages which Agama, and whether Agama by itself will qualify for being a denomination, and whether by meaning that it is a denomination, whether it will come out of the HR&CE is a matter that I am still examining. But let us see how it progresses. So there are innumerable issues. So 25 to 30, Article 25 to 30 of the Constitution, que Hindus is not only oppressive, it is indeterminate, vague, and to a large extent, shall I say, anti-Hindus. So 25 to 30 of the Constitution needs to be relooked in light of Article 14, 15, 16, 19, and what would be the basic structure of the Constitution to see that the Hindus are given level playing field in India after 75 years of our independence. So it is a paradox and a very sorry state of affairs.
Got it. So you talked about audits, right? So there is no requirement specific of say the HR&CE, whoever is kind of, say, the executive officer or whoever is kind of administering the temples, to issue an audit report or something. There is no kind
there is a provision of audit.
There's a provision,
okay, and for that the temple pays 4% of its total collection. Now assume for a moment it is Reliance. Now, can Reliance pay 4% of its turnover as some sort of an audit fee to its auditor? I have never heard 4% being charged for a service that is as dubious as this, done by lackeys of the commissioner, done by henchmen of the commissioner, and for that Hindus pay 4%. Now that is astounding loot. Even Aurangzeb would not have conjured of something as malicious as this.
So, but audit report, okay, there is an audit done, for instance. The audit report, is that publicly put somewhere for public to view? Or
yes,
how is the system?
You get it through RTIs, you get it through HR&CE. There's a process, and that's slightly difficult, but you get it. It's not it is not impossible, but difficult.
So, but it's not put automatically in the public view, is it? In the websites, because I see websites are there for several big temples, all right, but it's not as easy, is it, to get that?
It's not easy, but as I said, it's not difficult either. It's not impossible either, difficult.
But you have to put an RTI.
RTI and get it, and okay. So it's a big headache, but you will get it.
Good to know.